Mario, Alonso, and me to talk about this topic. Would you like to present yourselves? We can start with Ana Regina.
Hello, my name is Anna. I'm studying law. And so, yeah, I'm going to talk about the future of due to coronavirus. As we know, we live in an uncertain situation right now. We are living day by day. We don't know what will happen next. But what we do know is that I believe that, well, I asked a bunch of people what they think about what will happen next if they change the way they are living. And all of them say yes. We are going to start valuing some stuff that we didn't did anymore or we didn't value enough anymore. For example, we are going to start valuing just like hugging each other or being with the person you would like to be in the room. There are some stuff that we need to realize due to this pandemic, and that's one of them.
Now, can you present yourself, Alonso?
Hello, so I'm Alonso, and first of all, I hope that this panel can serve as a platform in which the audience and panelists can discuss this important topic and they can learn something of value in this session. I'm of the view that there will be changes, specific changes in the way people behave, in the way institutions work, and most importantly, in the way the health system has, in the structure of the health system in our country, and also in international relationships. However, I think that the overall behavior of the society will not change that much.
Valentina, would you like to present yourself?
Yes. Hello, my name is Valentina. And my opinion about this matter is that we will definitely have permanent changes, maybe not just like applying the safety, sanity things that the government tell us, but also in the way we interact with other people, in the way we live our everyday. We will be more conscious, and as the first group my classmate mentioned, here we are really touchy, and we will have some like physical restriction with other people, and we will be more careful with what we do and what we touch, and also in the way we think.
Mario, would you like to present yourself?
My name is Mario, and I'm studying finance. And my opinion on this topic is that a lot of our daily routine will have to change. We'll have to accommodate to the new normality that is more restriction on hygiene, using face masks, and constantly keeping your distance with other people. And in my opinion, this is the only route to take to help lower the spread rate of the virus.
And finally, Marcelo, would you like to present yourself?
Right, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good time. First of all, I hope everybody can hear me well. And well, my name is Marcelo Cantu, and as of right now, everything might seem lost with over 5 million cases with confirmed cases. But today I'll focus on that everything might seem lost from right now, that things can only get worse. But believe me, there are some stats that can tell us that everything will be better. Maybe not soon, maybe not in 1 year, but over time, things will get better.
Thank you. Now, our first question is, what is the correct way of handling the situation in our country? Do you think that by following government advice will help us overcome the circumstances even faster? Who would like to answer first?
I would like to answer the question. In my opinion, the only way to, like I said before, was to diminish the infection rate is by listening to the government formalities. For example, other countries have adopted this and have flattened the curve way earlier than our country because we're not giving it the seriousness it deserves, and we will have to adapt our lifestyle around these new restrictions provided by the government.
Thank you. Someone would like to add something more?
Yeah, I would like to. It's sort of a compliment of what Mario just said, but I would like to take a quick view at the example of Taiwan. Now, Taiwan is very unique because geographically it's relatively close to China mainland, so where it started, and people often compare it with Australia. So it's often, I think, well, in the same geographical region overall. They have the same density of population, same. They're very similar in those sort of things. However, Taiwan managed to, from 10 months since the coronavirus emerged in China, Australia had over 5,000 cases, where Taiwan had only 400. So that was a fantastic response by the government, and we can see this case. But the most important thing that they did was first keep transparency to which the statistic that the government displayed, and that that resulted in was that people trusted in the government. So after they trusted in the government, they can do what the government says and comply with regulations, which is something that in most countries does not happen because people don't trust the government because of this lack of transparency. And that also combined with the preparation that they had because of the SARS outbreak that occurred years back. They were very prepared to respond to this pandemic. And that's a very important thing that also Mexico didn't do quite well. They didn't respond the way they reacted when the influenza and 1H1 outbreak occurred. So yes, that can be compared to this.
Thank you. Someone would like to add something more?
I would like to add something. So talking about our country and the government we have, it's not the best option to follow their advice, because since day one he didn't take it seriously. He was just like, oh, go out, it doesn't matter, this will protect us, and he raised a stamp or something, I don't know what was. So what I would like to recommend is to focus on other countries, just like for example what Alonso said, Taiwan or Japan, that they have very, very serious, like, important sanity like things they do. So yeah, that's a better option.
Thank you. Now, how will our way of working will change in the future? Do you think people are realizing that some things can be done at home by taking advantage of the technology we have right now? Valentina, do you have something?
Yes. So what I think about this subject in particular is that we're gonna have new like models and new ways to develop in our jobs and in our studies. Like we can see from Tech's initiative to have a hybrid educative system in which we have online classes, and we'll have some just like the necessary physical classes, and we will eventually get used to all these safety measures, these health measures to provide good health, at least until we have a how do you say the cure. I don't know. I forgot the word. I'm sorry. So until we have like the vaccine and the thing that can actually protect us from the virus, we will have to treat these health measures and respect them with new innovations for educative and work systems.
Thank you. I also think that way. Someone would like to add to complement what Valentina said?
Yeah, I would like to add something else to the question. As of right now, a great example of how works are changing due to the coronavirus outbreak is something we're living right now. Tecnológico de Monterrey has just said that next semester, although it will be physical, there will be online classes too. This demonstrates how we can change the study system we're in right now and get great results with it. So yes, works will change. Some of them will become useless over time, but I do believe this is the right thing to do, because as we grow in population, the cities, the jobs, the buildings are getting more dense. That is not a good thing. I think it's better for us to. Sorry, I got distracted. To rely on technology not only for education but for other jobs.
Thank you, Marcelo. Now, in what ways will our lifestyle will change from now on? Do you think we will get back to normal, or will be there a new normal?
Well, as I stated at the beginning, I think that there will be very specific changes, like in big aspects of life. However, there will be almost no changes in the behavior of people on their everyday lives. Now, I'd like to base this argument on, well, kind of a straight path of logic. So we can, for instance, analyze the certain plagues or outbreaks that occurred in the Middle Ages. So these were due to improper hygienic practices from people. So, I mean, they didn't have proper sewage systems and their overall hygiene wasn't very good. So, yes, the way that they eradicated those were by having better hygiene practices. However, this was very different. This was a very specific thing that occurred that resulted in the outbreak. This was the existence of the wet markets in China. And I think that for these specific situations, the way that we can prevent similar outbreaks in the future is not like having better hygiene, because we already have very good hygiene, and that's not what resulted in this virus. But however, abolishing those practices that have constantly demonstrated that are not correct in sanitarian matter, and that they have several and horrible consequences such as this one. So I think that would be the most specific changes. Also, like the way government handles pandemics in general, the budget to health services, the health system even, but not really in the way people live their everyday lives.
Yes, I also think that this coronavirus will have a really big impact to our society. Someone would like to add something more to what Alonso said?
Well, yeah, I would like to. Just like Alonso said, this is very different from the Middle Ages pandemics. For instance, last century we had the Spanish flu, which killed 50 million people worldwide. Right now we have 5 million cases with 2 million recovered. So it is a very different pandemic. Right now it could be say controlled, thanks to the technology and how we're communicating with each other to prevent more cases. Also, what will happen after the pandemic? Well, some optimistic scientists say that people will develop something they call fear of density, which is actual fear of being around a lot of people. This will bring a significant change to cities such as Mumbai, Delhi, and all these big cities that are known for having a lot of people in relative small spaces. This will also provide new opportunity for new entrepreneurs to design new ideas for the cities, so that these cities could have more open spaces or apartments that are bigger with some green areas. So this could be, or I expect to be, some of the great changes that this pandemic will bring to major cities.
Thank you. I also think it was very interesting the way of new things will develop to our society. For example, the fear that you explained. Someone would like to add something more? Or okay. So,
Oh,
sorry. Yes.
I have a question, really fast question.
which specific actions from other countries, well, you talk about Vietnam's specific actions, will you apply in Mexico for this pandemic?
I think I can how respond to that. Well, I have also here the evidence of the Taiwan case. So I'm going to say textually what it says. For like in managing the crisis in Taiwan, for the past 5 weeks, the Committee of Pandemics in Taiwan had 124 action items in a specific table that included actions to be taken towards the pandemic. Those included border control from the air and sea, case identification using new data and technology, quarantine of suspicious cases, proactive case finding, resource allocation. This means like giving more government resources towards health research and supplies to healthcare workers. Reassurance and education of the public while fighting misinformation. This was what was the most important. It's because the government was transparent, so the people trusted in the government, and that was an incredible reciprocal correlation between the citizens and what the government said, that involved in everyone taking a same path towards the same objective, and that it improved drastically the results in Taiwan. And the last thing was negotiating with other countries and regions. The formulation, yes, to like give supplies for medical workers and stuff, and also the formulation of policies towards schools and childcare and relief to business. So it's like a very general approach that the government had, but this was very impacted because of the SARS outbreak that occurred several years ago. And that's what Mexico should have done. Like take into account what happened with the influenza and then improve that and apply it to this situation. But it didn't did it quite properly.
Thank you also.
Thank you for your question. Any more questions you have?
I have one more. This question can be like answered by anyone. I just want to know what, in your point of view, what has been the biggest mistake that the Mexican government has made during this crisis?
I believe that the biggest mistake was not taking seriously the situation since day one. As I said before, the president didn't like give the best option to the population, didn't take it seriously. He just keeps saying like, oh, you can go out, go to restaurants, and with that kind of government, I think that was the main issue here. He didn't take it seriously since day one.
Thank you, Anna.
I would like to add another issue, is that not caring about fake news. And I think this week in Chiapas there was a manifestation because the residents thought that the coronavirus was made by the government. So I think it's crucial for people to know that coronavirus is serious, and I don't think the government is actually telling that to the country.
Thank you, Marcelo.
Adding to that, another point of view, in my opinion, was prioritizing the economy over the common health of Mexico. By giving the initial priority to the economy, what happened was in the long run, it deteriorated it, because now it suffered a lot of closing of businesses, non-essential businesses, while in the starting weeks of the pandemic, he could have closed borders and closed the non-essential businesses to have a more lax impact on the economy of the Mexican people.
Thank you, Mario.
Some more questions? Or Valentina, would you like to? Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Is there something that the government can do to prevent another pandemic from happening in the future?
In my personal opinion, I think not, because even though the government didn't take it seriously from day one when the virus started growing, the Secretary of Healthcare gave all the safety, all the health measures, and the people didn't take it seriously, and eventually we got a larger quantity of infected people. So I don't think this pandemic depends on the government. I think it depends of all of us and the effort we make on staying home and listening to the recommendations they give us. Not only our government, but the government like worldwide.
Thank you. Now, in conclusion, our future will change. This is an uncertain things, but the pandemic will never be over if we don't do what's correct, like take care of those around you and yourself by not leaving your houses if there's not if it's not a necessity to leave. Our way of working and studying will change. New lifestyles will be implemented from now on. We will make new routines in where simple actions, like washing our hands, will be very important to our health. New technologies will be introduced as a new way of communicating, and that's for a fact. We will need to adapt to these circumstances as soon as possible and accept our new reality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.